Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. Lily had always believed there was more to the world than what they saw beyond the walls of the orphanage. Every night, after the younger children fell asleep, she would tell them stories of magical lands where strange creatures roamed and heroes triumphed over darkness. It was her way of escaping the dull, gray routine that defined their life. And on this stormy night, as lightning cracked the sky and the wind howled through the trees, she could feel something different in the air. She sat out there, she whispered, staring out the window at the black expanse beyond. She was 12, old enough to know when something was wrong or when something was about to happen. "Was it out there?" Tom asked quietly from the bed next to her. Tom, always the quiet one with his messy brown hair and round glasses that made him look a little older than his years. He was smart, though. Maybe the smartest of them all. When something broke in the orphanage, Tom was the one who fixed it. "I don't know, but it's calling us, Lily." Couldn't he explain it, but there was an undeniable tug in her chest, a sensation that whatever it was, it wanted them to find it. Tom frowned, pushing his glasses up his nose as he squinted out into the night. "You reimagining things, Lily." But she wasn't it. She could feel it. There was something waiting for them just beyond the trees, and the storm was the key. Her heart pounded in her chest as she sat up, pulling her tattered blanket away. "We were going outside." "What?" Tom Sal's voice rose in shock. "I'll get caught. Match on what?" "I don't care." Lily cut him off, grabbing her shoes. "This is important." Before Tom could argue further, the door creaked open. Little Ellie stood there, her wide blue eyes filled with curiosity. She was only 8, too young to understand the seriousness of sneaking out, but she had the sharp ears of a hawk. "Are we going somewhere?" she asked, her voice innocent and hopeful. Lily smiled softly. "Yes, we are, but you have to be quiet. Can you do that?" Ellie nodded enthusiastically, pulling on her own shoes and coat. Tom looked between the two of them, his face a mixture of worry and disbelief, but he knew there was no stopping them once Lily had made up her mind. With a heavy sigh, he grabbed his own coat and followed them out the door. The wind whipped against their faces as they made their way down the muddy path behind the orphanage. Lightning flashed, illuminating the forest in short bursts. Lily led the way, her breath coming fast, her heart pounding with every step. Something was pulling her, guiding her deeper into the wood, and then they saw it. Through the trees, nestled in a small clearing, stood the most extraordinary train they had ever seen. It gleamed even in the darkness, its metal sides polished to a shine, with swirling golden designs etched into its body. It looked as though it didn't belong in this world, like it had come from somewhere far away, somewhere magical. "Lily, what is that?" Tom whispered, his voice barely audible over the wind. Lily didn't answer. She couldn't trust her feet moved on their own, carrying her closer to the train. It stood there, silent and unmoving, but there was something about it that felt alive, as though it were waiting for them. The large iron door at the front hissed open with a soft sigh, beckoning them inside. "We shouldn't," Tom murmured. But Lily was already stepping through the doorway, her hand tightly gripping Ellie. Inside, the train was even more magnificent. The walls were lined with dark wood, polished and smooth, while intricate chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting a warm golden glow over the plush red seat. Everything about it screamed elegance and magic. It was like stepping into one of the stories Lily had told the children, a dream come to life. Ellie giggled, running her fingers along the seats as they walked deeper into the train. "It's so pretty," she exclaimed. "Ivy'd never seen anything like it." Neither had Lily. Her eyes scanned the compartments as they moved forward, each more curious than the last. One room held shelves filled with floating books that gently fluttered through the air like birds. Another had a large enchanted painting of a meadow where the flowers swayed in an unseen breeze and rabbits hopped through the tall grass. It was like a world within a world. Tom Saint's brow furrowed as they passed by. "This isn't right," he muttered under his breath. "None of this is possible." But that was the thing. Everything felt possible on this train. Suddenly, the door at the far end of the car creaked open, and they froze. A figure stepped inside, a tall, shadowy figure draped in black with glowing red eyes that pierced the dim light. The air grew thick with tension, and Lily's heart raced. Who is that?" Ellie whispered, her small hand tightening around Lily. Lily didn't answer. She knew who it was, the conductor, but not just any conductor. This was something darker, more dangerous. His eyes flickered, scanning the train, and for a moment, Lily thought they were caught, but then the figure turned, walking away as if he hadn't teleseen them. "We need to hide," Lily whispered urgently. "Now." They ducked into the nearest compartment, their breaths shallow as they pressed themselves against the wall. Lily's mind raced. The train was magical, but it wasn't safe. They had to get off before the conductor realized they were here. But how the doors had sealed shut behind them, and they were speeding forward into the unknown. Ellie's eyes were wide with fear as she clung to Lily. "Are we going to be okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. Lily swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "We were going to be fine. We just have to figure out how to get back home." Tom, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. "We can just sit here. We need to explore the train, find out how it works. There has to be a way to stop it." Lily nodded, her determination growing. "Okay, but we need to be careful. That conductor, he saw not normal." Tom agreed, and together they ventured out of their hiding spot. The train continued to speed along, but the scenery outside the windows had changed. No longer did they see trees and forests. Instead, strange swirling clouds of purple and gold filled the sky, and beyond that, they could see glimpses of fantastical landscapes, floating islands, rivers of light, and towering crystal spires. They weren't in their world anymore. The first stop came suddenly. The train slowed, and the doors opened with a soft hoot. They stepped outside onto a platform made of ancient stone, surrounded by towering trees that glowed faintly in the darkness. The air was thick with magic, and strange creatures darted between the trees, their eyes glowing in the shadows. "This place, ... it said." "Incredible," Tom whispered, his eyes wide with awe. A rustling sound came from the bushes, and they turned ready to run. But instead of danger, a small fox-like creature stepped into view. It had large, intelligent eyes and fur that shimmered like stardust. "Hello," the creature said in a soft, melodic voice. "You were not supposed to be here." Ellie gasped, her eyes lighting up. It talked. Lily knelt down to the creature's level. "Who are you?" "My name is Finn," the creature replied, "and you need to leave this place. The conductor, he'll be looking for you." "How do you know that?" Tom asked skeptically. Finn's eyes darkened. "Because I used to travel on this train, but I escaped. Not everyone is so lucky." Finn's warning sent a shiver down Lily's spine. The soft glow of the forest seemed less inviting now. The shadows longer, more threatening. The creature's large eyes looked up at them with a mixture of pity and urgency. "We can take leave," Lily said quietly, glancing back toward the train. "We don't even know how we got here, and we definitely don't know how to get back." Finn's ears twitched. "There is a way, but it's dangerous. The conductor will stop at nothing to keep you on this train. He needs passengers to keep it running, passengers like you." Ellie's small hand gripped Lily as tightly. "I don't truly want to stay here. I want to go home." "We all do," Tom added, his eyes scanning the forest warily. "What do we need to do, Finn? How do we get off this train?" The small fox creature padded closer, its tail swaying slowly. "There's a key," Finn explained, lowering its voice as though the trees themselves might be listening. "The key of worlds. It's hidden somewhere on the train. If you find it, you can open a portal back to your world." Lily's mind raced. A key that could get them home. It was their only chance. "Where is it?" she asked, already feeling the weight of the quest ahead. Finn shook its head. "I don't know. I've never seen it, but I've heard rumors. It's deep within the train, guarded by the conductor. It's magic. You will have to be clever to find it, and even cleverer to survive long enough to use it." A loud whistle pierced the air, sending the forest creatures scattering. The train's doors hissed open, the mechanical sound echoing ominously through the trees. "The conductor," Finn whispered. "He's still coming." Lily's heart lurched. "We have to go." Without another word, they turned and ran back to the train, their feet pounding against the stone platform. Finn disappeared into the trees, his warning hanging heavy in the air as they scrambled back through the doors, just as they slid shut behind them. The train jolted, to life speeding forward once more, the scenery outside shifting into an ethereal blur of lights and colors. The car was silent, save for the rhythmic clattering of the wheels on the track. The children sat huddled together, their minds racing, trying to make sense of what Finn had told them. "We need to find that key," Lily said, her voice determined it's our only way out. "But where do we even start looking?" Tom asked, glancing around the ornate train car. "This place is huge. It could be anywhere." Lily thought for a moment, her eyes narrowing in concentration. We start by searching the compartments. There has to be something, clues, anything that will point us in the right direction. Tom nodded in agreement, and Ellie, though visibly shaken, stayed close by their side. They moved through the train car by car, opening doors and inspecting the strange magical compartment. Some rooms were filled with objects they didn't dare touch, floating orbs of light, strange plants that hummed with energy, enchanted mirrors that reflected back not their faces, but scenes from other worlds. As they entered the next car, they stopped short. The room was unlike the others they had seen. It was dark and cold, the walls lined with shelves of ancient dusty books. In the center of the room stood a large pedestal, atop which sat a glowing orb. "That looks important," Lily muttered, stepping closer. Tom hesitated. "Be careful." Lily reached out to touch the orb, but as her fingers brushed against its surface, the air around them shifted. The walls of the compartment seemed to melt away, and in their place, a vast starry sky stretched out before them. The train was gone, and they were floating in an endless expanse of stars. "Where are we, Ellie?" asked her voice, trembling with fear. Lily's heart pounded in her chest. "I don't know, but I think this is part of the train's magic." Suddenly, a deep, rumbling voice echoed through the stars. "You seek the key of world." The children froze, the voice wrapping around them like a shadow. From the darkness, a figure emerged, a tall, cloaked being with glowing eye. It wasn't the conductor, but it was something equally powerful, equally terrifying. "You cannot escape," the figure said, its voice low and menacing. "The train binds you. Only those who are worthy can wield the key." Lily swallowed hard, standing tall despite the fear clawing at her insides. "We're not staying here. We were going home." The figure tilted its head, considering her for a moment. "Then you must prove yourselves," it said, its voice dripping with challenge. "Find the key and you may leave. Fail, and you will remain passengers of this train forever." Before they could respond, the stars around them dissolved, and they were back in the cold, dark compartment, the orb on the pedestal pulsing faintly with light. The air was thick with tension, and the children exchanged nervous glances. Did that just happen?" Tom asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily nodded, her hands shaking. "We have to keep going." They left the dark compartment behind and continued through the train, their pace quickening with each passing moment. The sense of urgency hung heavy in the air. The train seemed to grow larger the further they went, with more twists and turns, more strange and enchanted compartment. And all the while they felt the conductor's presence growing closer, his shadow looming over them. At last, they reached a set of grand double doors at the end of the car. Lily hesitated, her hand hovering over the handle. "This has to be it," she whispered. Tom nodded, his eyes wide with fear and anticipation. "Whatever happens in there, we stick together." Lily pushed the doors open, and they stepped into the final compartment. It was massive, stretching farther than any of the others they had seen. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat a large, ornate chest glowing with a faint golden light. The key of world, but standing between them and the chest was Grimnox, the conductor, his eyes burning red with fury. His dark cloak billowed around him as he raised a hand, summoning shadows to swirl around him like smoke. "You thought you could escape?" Grimnox hissed, his voice echoing through the room. "No one leaves the train." Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she stood her ground. "We were not safe." Grimnox's eyes narrowed, and with a flick of his wrist, the shadows surged forward, wrapping around the children like tendrils of darkness. Lily struggled against the force, her hands reaching for the chest, but the shadows pulled her back, holding her in place. Tom, quick thinking, as always, reached into his pocket and pulled out a small screwdriver he always carried with him. He glanced at the mechanical gears lining the walls of the train car and quickly began working on them, his fingers moving with precision and speed. "I'll distract him," Tom shouted as he worked. "You get to the key." Lily nodded, determination flooding through her. She pushed against the shadows with all her strength, her eyes fixed on the glowing chest. Grimnox let out a furious roar, his dark magic swirling around the room, but Lily pressed on, refusing to give up. With one final burst of energy, she broke free from the shadows and lunged toward the chest. Her hands closed around the key of worlds, and a brilliant light exploded from the chest, flooding the room with warmth and energy. Grimnox let out a scream of rage as the light engulfed him, his form disintegrating into wisps of smoke. The shadows around the children melted away, and the train rumbled beneath their feet, as if it were shaking off the dark magic that had controlled it for so long. Lily clutched the key tightly in her hand, her breath coming in short gasps. The room around them began to shift, the walls and floors glowing with a strange golden light. "We did it," Tom whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief. Ellie grinned, throwing her arms around Lily in a tight hug. "We were going home." The train lurched forward one last time, and the children felt the world tilt beneath them. The light grew brighter, swallowing everything in its path, and then just as suddenly it was gone. They found themselves standing back in the woods behind the orphanage, the night quiet and still. The train grim knocks, the magical worlds they had all disappeared. "We made it," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "Re home." And as the first light of dawn began to break through the trees, the children turned and walked back to the orphanage, their hearts light with the knowledge that they had survived a magical journey unlike any other. But as they crossed the threshold of the orphanage, Lily paused, glancing back over her shoulder at the dark, quiet wood. Somewhere in the distance, faint but unmistakable, she heard the low, haunting whistle of the train.